me about it. Come on, let's talk about it. Change up the things you see. Open your mind to possibilities. Find your power, passion, and your purpose. You know it's time for you to walk in greatness. Let's murder mediocrity. Slay your goals, live out your dreams. Right now. Inspirational perspective.
Make sure, if you haven't listened to the first show, listen to the first show. In the first show, what I do when we're talking about understanding and applying the 12 universal laws is I break down the idea that there are two major thoughts, two major line of thoughts in the world. One is scientific, one is theology. Okay, science and theology. And I combined in that first episode, in that first segment about understanding and applying the universal laws, I talked about these and I combined them. Say, whether you are more on the theological side or more on the scientific side, when we look at these 12 universal laws, here's how you should think about it. That is where we derived this idea that God is love energy, right? What is God? God is love, right? Science says all matter is energy. All we did is we combined it, right? We said, okay, let's combine this thought of science, this thought of theology, and combine it. Now, why did we do that? Because as we've been discussing these 12 universal laws, we understand that there has to be one nucleus, one guiding principle that we can look to as we identify where we are in contrast or in alignment with those 12 universal laws. Okay, so I covered this in the first part of this series, and I'm sharing that just in case anyone who listens today, if you're listening now for the first time, you have some context. One of the things I'm going to be talking about today is the power of the mind and how there are two parts in terms of full understanding, like you really fully understanding how your mind works. One part, like think of it this way, right? Your mind is here and your body is down here, but I want you to expand like your idea of the mind, make it much bigger than the body. Like the body is just a small circle. The mind is a large circle. Up top, you separate the circle into two parts. You have your conscious mind at the top, your subconscious mind that is connected to the body. That's important to remember. That's the part that tells you, like automatically what to do. Okay. And then outside that circle, in the realm of everything that we experience, you have what it is that you are ignorant of, right? And the knowledge that you have. And this is what impacts your world. What it is that you are ignorant of impacts your world. The same way what you have knowledge of impacts your world. Now, here's the scary part. Always remember that what you are ignorant of is larger than your sphere of knowledge. That's scary. So you are operating in a dimension where you are ignorant of almost everything in that dimension because the knowledge that we have is like that in comparison to what's unknown. And today, what I've been doing with this 3-part series, so you all understand, is I'm just trying to expand that little speck of dust of knowledge just a bit so that you have more control in this dimension. Spiritually first, mentally second, physically third, where you can begin to create and manifest and align your life with the Creator's will for your life in alignment with His purpose for your life. That's what this is about. I want to be very clear. Right? So anyone who's like, what is this he's talking about? Like, that is why I'm talking about it, because I honestly believe there's a great deal of ignorance, not just in our community, but throughout the world, because there is so little that we know. There is so little that we understand. And that is for the most learned individual. So at a minimum, my goal is to learn what the learned know. And to learn what those who have been creating well within this dimension. When I say this dimension, this earth dimension, this physical dimension, those who are creating well to also understand what they know. So that way, those of us who have a positive spiritual vibration, like we're followers of the Creator, we can begin to manifest and create powerfully because it's necessary nowadays. We need more good, solid, spiritual, positive people creating in the earth realm. Because let me tell you, man, that negative energy, it is doing its work. And if we don't wake up and do our work, then we may not be overtaken, but my fear is for my children. And so I want to do everything that I can to make sure that they know how to adapt and use this power as well. I shared in the first part of this series that these are Kemetic principles coming out of Kemet, right? Kemet is, for those of us who don't know, ancient Egypt. Egypt is Greek for Kemet. Kemet means land of the blacks. These are our principles, right? We have gotten away and lost knowledge of our own principles. Just let that sink in. These are our principles. Someone that looks like you, my brother, someone that looks like me, sat down, took the time to observe God's beautiful creation, all that he has done, and say, I notice this is how it's operating. I notice these are the laws that bind it together. And this was Hermes who then identified these 7 hermetic principles. And the 5 secondary principles are derived, and I'm going to teach on this, and this is why, by the way, they teach us the secondary laws. Just sit with that for a second. They teach you the secondary laws. They don't teach you the 7 hermetic principles. So and you always got to remember that when somebody's sharing something great, that they leaving just a little bit for themselves, right? And that's something I've strived not to do, not to my community, right? If I get it, I'm going to give it to you the whole way I got it, as best as I can, okay? But this is what they do to maintain some level of control, right? If all I do is teach Ade the law of attraction, but I never teach him the law of vibration, he's got to keep coming back to me. He's got to, he can't just, he got to keep feeding off me. Oh, coach, how do I do this? And I just give him a little bit more of the law of vibration, but I never tell him about it. That's, and this is something that, one, we have to understand. And two, the idea of these 12 universal laws is we begin to implement them, meditate on them, and concentrate on them. When I say that, I'm not dispelling holy text and holy scripture. It can be a both and. I think, sometimes we like, did he just say meditate on it? I thought we just supposed to meditate on the word of God. I'm not telling you not to. I'm just saying you got extra work to do. Okay? Because there are brothers and sisters or others outside the community that are meditating on the word of God and reading the 12 universal laws at the same time. And then you wonder why they're doing so great. Okay. So, Randy, this is for the community. I want to be very clear about that. And how I've taught it specifically is for us to understand and begin to build. And I believe, without a shadow of a doubt, that we can take these 12 universal laws and apply them and create the blue zones in our community that you talked about. And one of the reasons why our community is in the state that it's in is because we have been at effect of everything that leaders of the United States have thrown up. We've been at effect of it. Now, has it been horrible? Absolutely. flooding our community with drugs, will that have an effect? Absolutely. Taking away our leaders, assassinating our leaders, will that have an effect? Absolutely it will. That cause has an effect. I can go down the list of the things that have been done to undermine our community. I'm like, but we already know them. Why are we going to focus on that? At some point, we have to stop playing the violin of sorrow. At some point, we have to, stop, kind of soothing our wounds and understand that any true warrior, any true person of cause, any leader, despite where they are in this moment, despite how they feel, is going to gain clarity on their vision and begin to create from a level of responsibility. First for themselves, second for their families, and then third for their community. How can I help you all if my family was, we just getting by? I promise you, if we fell on hard times, show is over, because I got to focus in on making sure mine is handled. All right? And so that's a healthy priority. And for those of us that have family handled, I believe we have a responsibility to turn our eye towards the community in alignment with our purpose and begin to create powerfully. And that's what this is about. The law of gender, the seventh hermetic principle. Again, let me just say this one more time. These are the building blocks of the Creator. You can interpret this how you want. I can't in any way go and shift your interpretation. But I want to be very clear, right? The law of gender, these are the building blocks of the Creator. This is how everything that is in this physical reality is being held together and bound. These laws have consequences when they are broken. That's all I'm going to say about this. All right? Everything possesses both masculine and feminine energy and qualities. Balancing and harmonizing these qualities within ourselves promote wholeness and well-being. All right? Gender is everywhere. Gender is everywhere. Let me give you some examples. You notice how when a brother get a beautiful car, does he call it a he or a she? Huh? What does he say? She's beautiful, right? Gender is everywhere, right? Why is she beautiful? Because she has beautiful curves and lines, all right? Why is my wife beautiful? Because she has beautiful curves and lines, right? At least to me, all right? So when I say she around my house, I'm talking about what's in the garage and my woman and maybe my daughter, right? Every gender is everywhere. Everything has two sides to it. As a man, I have two sides. I can come from my masculine energy, or I can get caught up in my feminine energy. I have both. It's important for me as a man to understand that, okay? And it's important for me to decide from which I intend to create, all right? This is the law of gender basically breaks down the intrinsic duality of everything in the universe. Everything in the universe has an intrinsic duality. Now, what the Kabbalion says about this law is that gender is everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Last week I talked about this. My daughter, who is now 9 months old, if I'm home with her alone, my wife is out, and I'm her caretaker, Like part of my ability to take care of her means that I have to move more into my feminine qualities, right? How I hold her, how I soothe her, even how I talk to her. I wouldn't talk to a grown man like, you good, baby girl? Okay. You know, daddy loves you. Mwah, 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 right? And by the way, there's nothing wrong with this. We got to get this, right? There's nothing wrong with this. It's being very clear about what it is I intend to bring to my daughter to soothe her, to get her to quiet down, to get her to go to sleep. Whatever it is that my intention is, okay? I wouldn't address a man like that. Hey, man, how you doing? I would never. You feel, you get where I'm going? I just wouldn't. Now, if that's what you choose, that's on you, right? I'm not here to be your judge. But I'm talking about on a very personal level, how I operate as a man, how I identify as a human being, okay? So this is the last of the 7 hermetic principles. And this principle of gender, one of the things that it tells us is that the masculine and the feminine, they're not just found in everything. So you think about people, right? It's in every aspect of the mental, physical, and spiritual plane. So we have to remember that this idea, this law of gender operates in every dimension. So as a man, am I nursing masculine thoughts? And by the way, let me just say this. It's interesting what's happening in the world because we have terms that are being coined, created, and repeated. And if we go back to the law of vibration, we have to understand why certain things are lined up together. This term toxic masculinity is an oxymoron. Okay? Here's the reason it's an oxymoron. Because you take something, there's nothing negative about masculinity. Like true masculinity, there is nothing negative about it. If it were, let me be clear, if it were, I might not finish the series today. I wanted to. But I just realized like this, I can't just rush through this. I was telling our day, man, finish it. Got the Father's Day show coming up. I really want this to be, all, but you know what? That's what I want. That's not necessarily what the Spirit is telling me. So, take my time. There's nothing toxic about true masculinity. Masculine energy says, provide for your family. What's toxic about that? Masculine energy says, protect your family. What's toxic about that? Masculine energy says, direct your family. Right? This is, when we think about true masculinity, there's nothing negative about it. It's necessary. It's necessary. And when there is an absence, you get what is happening in our community. You get young men who do not know how to harness their testosterone in a positive way, killing one another, disrespecting their elders, and in many ways creating negative energy because they don't know what to do with the hormonal, physical, biological aspects of their nature. Masculinity directs that. Masculinity directs that. And when it's missing, the law of gender says you have to have both. And when it's missing, then what happens is young men become misdirected. Oh, Linnell, I don't agree with you. I believe that, as a woman, I can funnel my masculine energy and make this happen. Okay, let's look at nature. There's a story of in the African village, you had these young teenage bulls that didn't have a mature bull. And so they began to basically ravage the area. This is a true story, right? Dr. Joy DeGruy tells this story to attorney Ernest Fenton years ago on the broadcast. Okay? I was listening to it and I never forgot it. Look up Dr. Joy DeGruy if you don't know who she is. But she was talking about why it's so necessary for us to have men in our community. And these bulls were tearing up the area, uprooting trees, digging up things with their tusk. Just lots of aggressive energy. Why? Because in the animal kingdom, it functions very much like we do, testosterone and estrogen, all those kind of things, right? And so they had all this testosterone, they didn't know how to channel it. And so what ends up happening is they start to get close to a village. And there's no way for them to control these elephants, and they were afraid they would have to put them down. Like, we have to kill all these elephants. And so they brought in a ranger. And this ranger said, well, you upset the balance. Where is the dominant male bull? The mature male bull? The parent, the father, that masculine guy. So, well, there's not one. He was shipped off to a zoo. Okay. Now think about our community. He was taken to prison. All right. He was put behind bars. That's basically what they did to the elephant, right? They put the father behind bars. So, well, the only way for you to stop this rampage is to introduce a mature bull into the herd. And so they did. They found one. They moved it from where it was and brought him into the presence of the herd. Within a matter of days, the rampage stopped. Just with the presence of this bull, who wasn't the father, by the way. Just the presence of mature masculine energy shifted the energy of these young bulls. Now, here's why masculine energy from men is so important, right? I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll be talking about this on next week's show for the Father Day special. It teaches young men how to direct their energy. Already, this is why I have my son in sports, taekwondo, and like right now, he doesn't enjoy taekwondo. I got to go, Daddy. And part of it is because the height of his testosterone levels haven't hit. Let's be clear, right? When he becomes a teenager, he's going to be riled up before he goes. Like, he's going to be like, we sparring today? He's going to want conflict. And as a father, what I'm doing is I'm channeling that desire. Now, it is healthy for a young man and for a man to actually be able to have conflict. I had a situation this past week, man. Monday. Guy I played ball with. We've had a little contention. It's the same guy I was talking about some time ago. But anyway, on the play, man, he came up with an elbow, caught me in the chin, busted my mouth, spitting out blood. And when I came back on the court, he didn't have nothing to say to me. Now, something inside me, this is what masculine energy, something inside me started to, right? And I have feelings of hostility. Now, as a masculine, mature man, I knew how to funnel it. And what I did is I pulled him to the side and I had a very stern conversation with him. And I told him, I have hostile feelings towards you. As a result of this, at a minimum, you could express some level of apology. But now, I have levels of aggression aimed at you. And you need to know this. You need to understand this. So that way you don't get in my way. I was letting him, don't get, you had your last shot, bro. Right? Letting him know, man to man, where I was. He ain't showed up to the gym since. I didn't tell him he couldn't come. Right? But this is how it's supposed to be done. Nobody threw a fist. There was no violence. Just man to man. Let's have a strong conversation. Masculinity. We need men who can stand in the line. We need men that aren't afraid of a little conflict. This is what our community is missing. And this is what isn't being taught to our boys, the ability to channel your masculine energy. Any true warrior don't really want to fight. By the way, like no shade to the brother who this was. He's a Golden Glove boxer. Okay, ain't like he couldn't handle himself. He ain't no punk, right? He knows I'm not either. Like, we don't want to fight. Neither one of us. We don't want no war. That's not good for either one of us. It's not good for our families. It's not good for anybody. True masculine understands that. True masculine gets that. And the reason it becomes toxic is because it's not masculine energy. It's lots of testosterone fueled by feminine energy. That's dangerous. By the way, there's nothing wrong with feminine energy. These are the laws, by the way. I ain't saying nothing that's outside of the law of gender. These are the laws, okay? There's nothing wrong with feminine energy when it's coming from the right place. I just gave an example of that with my daughter.
Brother Nanel, thanks for taking my call. Listen, brother, I want to be brief. Just want to get your opinion. Thank you for sharing your story and your testimony with that encounter with that other brother, with the basketball and hurting your lip. So here's my point and my question. Were the N-word exchanged between the both of you at all?
No, sir.
And if not,
no, sir.
Now, if in fact it was, do you think that might have escalated the whole encounter if the N-word was used?
No, not for me. That word has no power or energy over me. And I wasn't going to call him that. So the only place it could have come from was him. And for me, that word has no power over me. It does nothing to me.
Thank you. And so I just simply end that this being Black Music Month, I think that word being pretty much infiltrated in our music, I think is destructive and I think it's caused, but I'm glad it didn't cause any harm in this incident. But in my opinion, I think it is destructive and we need to stop using it amongst ourselves in our community. That's just my thought.
I got you.
Thank you for taking my call, brother.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. And I can see where you're looking. I can see where you're looking. And I don't have, I don't have any real clear thoughts. I don't think it's not a word that I would use with me in mind. Because of my understanding of the 12 universal laws, it really depends on the vibration when the word is used, because it can be used for affection. And so I can't say without a shadow of a doubt that it always creates some level of negativity. However, I think it's important for all of us to ensure that we have power over words, and that we're able to reaffirm or shift our vibration when words are tossed at us, because words have energy, right? Dr. Emoto proved that in his experiments in Japan, and I did a whole show on that years ago, and I probably should do another show on it again. I did this, maybe 9 years ago, probably 9 years ago. I talked about Dr. Emoto and the power of words. This is why we bless our food, right? By blessing. See, this is why this lesson is important, you all. Let me share this. The law of vibration, right? Let's go back to the law of vibration, because we're going to go into the law of attraction. And the law of attraction is a secondary law that belongs to the law of vibration, right? One of the immutable principles. And the law of vibration states that I have the power to not only shift my vibration, but the vibration of things around me, right? So, and when you think about what true sorcery is, you all, what real true sorcery is when I use my words to negatively impact someone. Like if I curse someone, right? I curse you. Now, if let's say I cursed Ide, who's sitting in the studio with me, like from this day forward, Ide, I curse you. This is blah, 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 right? If Ide doesn't have an understanding of these 12 universal laws and how to overcome the vibration of words that I sent out to him, right? then he will operate under that curse. That's sorcery. Now, unfortunately, in our community, we have parents practicing sorcery over their children every day. That's what sorcery is. Like negative words, cussing them out. You ain't, you'll never be. You look like your daddy. He ain't. He'll never be. Right? That's sorcery. And then we wonder why we are in the condition, our community is in the condition that it is. Okay? So anyone can be a sorcerer or a sorceress. Don't get it twisted. Like we make this seem like it's something that's way out there. Ooh, that person knows magic. Ooh. No, you do too. Okay? You do too. All right? And that's what the law of vibration states. I can shift someone's vibration. Now, let's get back to this word. That word it operates under the rest of these laws. The law of polarity, right? Positive, negative. And the law of vibration. So that's why, without a shadow of a doubt, I can't say, oh, it's all bad, right? Let me use a real life example. Because somebody was making love last night and their wife said it to him. Right? And then she said that. I'm just being real. We got to understand these things, right? Even the brother that called in, I don't think he's going to stop. Don't call me that. I doubt he stopped. Right? Why? The law of vibration states that if it's a good thing, right, or the law of polarity, if it's positive, that it's not going to cause any ill effect. So everything has context. And I think we have to, we get into this right-wrong conversation. Y'all following this? Y'all, is this making sense to you all day? We get into this right-wrong conversation, and that is what we're going to talk about, the law of relativity. The law of relativity states that everything is based on perspective. Everything is based on perspective. And so I think what's important is that we gain a certain level of consciousness and a vibration that basically states, I'm getting wows on Facebook. They can't believe I went there. Like, we grown, man. You know what I'm saying? Let's stop it. The kids are still asleep unless they ride in a church, and then daddy can explain it to them because, well, let me tell you, they're already talking about it. Most of them, they can get what I'm saying. It's being talked about, so you need to talk about it too. Okay? It's going to be real. All right? So we get caught in this right and wrong, and we have to understand that what we believe is right and wrong often is more of a distraction. What's the vibration of it? What's the vibration of it? Because then I'm saying, well, all of it's wrong and getting caught up in areas where it might actually have a positive vibration. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay? I don't endorse the use of the word. I want to say that on a personal level, but I'm not going to let it take me out. I think it's important to note that it isn't necessary to believe in gender stereotypes or to believe in, certain gender roles in order to make use of the law of gender. I want to be very clear about that. You can make use of the law of gender and I've given examples of that already, right? In terms of how I take care of my child, my children, etc. Now that my son, let me be very clear. Now that my son is 5, he may have gotten certain levels of feminine energy from me from 1 to 2, because that's what was necessary. But now if he falls down and scuffs his knee, I'm not running. Oh, baby. Get up, man. It's bleeding. He might be crying. Hey, is the blood going to kill you? Right? That is my role. Oh, that's insensitive, Linnell. You don't get it. Don't try to get it. Right? I have to raise a man. Okay? Now his mother comes running out and scoops him up. I'm like, put him down. Let him walk over here. His leg ain't broke. Why? He has to learn how to move forward in the face of discomfort and pain. Okay? He has to learn how to move forward in the face of discomfort and pain to make it in this world as a man. And that's how I will teach him. So that way, when I'm gone, he can stand and persist and take care of his mother and his sister if necessary. Okay. Now, my sister-in-law was at the house last night. They were making fun. They were like, yeah, I bet it rained. And I'm like, you're right. That's my baby girl, right? There's going to be a different type of energy with her. All right. Again, this is how these principles work. So it's important for us to understand that this principle has less to do with biological gender than it has to do with the notion of different masculine and feminine energies. And I talked about that with the law of polarity. Brothers, those of us who are struggling in the home with our significant other, it might be that you're bringing too much feminine energy. And it's time to really step into a new level of masculine energy. It feels counterintuitive. Let me give you an example. My wife might get upset with me. Okay. But it just is what it is. So last night, my sister-in-law came to the house. And the reason she was there was to watch the children so my wife and I can go out. We celebrated our eight-year anniversary this past week. And so we've been kicking it. All right? We've been kicking it. So we went out Friday night and we had a good time. Her mother was at the house and then her sister came to the house, watched the children. Now, her sister got to the house. I was at the grocery store. By the time I got there, I needed to take a shower. I'd been working in the yard all day. My wife was like, it's late. I don't want to go out. We going out. This is masculine energy, by the way. I want to be very clear about this. Okay. I said, we going out. I don't want to go out. We're going out. Right. My role as a man is to direct my marriage. Okay. You might say, Linnell, well, she didn't want to go out. How you going to force her? I'm not forcing her. I'm directing her. Okay. That's the role I play as the man in the relationship. So I said, we're going out. Her sister's like, girl, I came all the way over here. She's like, oh, let's go watch a movie in a room and order some food. I'm like, nah, man, we don't get to go out like that. We going out. Okay, well, let's go. So she said, well, do you have to take a shower? And mind you, I was working in the yard all day. I went and got a haircut, all kinds of stuff, right? Working in the yard, I'm running around. And so I try to meet her where she is. She said, well, if you can just, put on some clothes and let's go, then I'll go with you, right? So she makes a deal with me. I said, let's see. Because, I'm not clear on just how funky I really am, right? I'm just being straight, right? So I get upstairs. I take off my shirt. And I said, I can't move like this. I took that shirt off, man. What hit me, I said, I can't move like this. I smell like mulch and funk and all that, right? I've been outside sweating. And so I said, babe, I'm going to take a quick 5-minute shower. If you take a shower, I'm not going. Okay. I got in the shower. Now, do you think that I said, well, I guess we're not going in my mind? You think I said, I guess we're not going. I gave in to her. You think I gave in? No. We still going in. We still going out. I'm going to take a shower and we still going out. Okay. So I took my shower. She comes and tries to, hey, well, since you in the shower, why don't you wash rain up, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not doing none of that, right? We going out. On time for that. Told them to take 5 minutes. Right now, somebody's listening like, what? You what? So I get out the shower. Started, well, why you didn't tell me you was getting that? Babe, put your clothes on. We're going out. We're going out. Now she got a bit of an attitude. Now, brothers, let me say something about this, okay? The beauty of feminine is that it's flow. And when you think of flow goes in lots of different directions. My wife went through, in that interaction, a number of different emotions. From not really feeling it, to okay, we going out, to I can't believe you got in the shower, to anger, to you forcing me to go out. Like, she went through a lot of different energies. Do you think I allowed those energies to dictate how I moved? I'm just brothers. You think I allowed that energy to dictate how I moved, what the intention was for the evening? Not at all. So here's what happened. Get out the shower, I get dressed. I got dressed like we going out. I ain't put on some shorts to see what she think, right? And this is what I mean, men. I'm talking to the men. Like you set the direction. I'm not saying in a dictatorial way, right? I'm talking about even in a romantic way. I said to them, I'm taking you out. I got dressed. She like, babe, let's go. Let's go. So she gets in the car. She got a bit of an attitude, right? And by the way, sisters, you can't judge her because you do the same thing. All right? Don't judge my wife. Right? I love her. Don't leave her alone. Okay. She got a bit of an attitude. We get in the car. This restaurant probably even that good. You know, blah, blah, blah. You know, woo woo. Now, mind you, I looked at the reviews. I said, well, we'll see, babe. You know. So we get there. We walk in. She like, see, ain't nobody even here. Right? It's okay. Ain't nobody even here. I hope this food good. We go. We sit down. You know, order some drinks, whatever. We get to having conversation. About 15 minutes in, babe, I'm so happy you made me come out. I'm enjoying myself. I'm enjoying myself. We had a phenomenal dinner. We had a phenomenal time. Here is how the masculine flows, okay? The masculine is assertive, right? It's directive, right? It's you know, this is how the masculine flows, all right? The feminine, you know, is protective, it's nourishing, it's reflective. My job in my relationship is to bring masculine energy to set the polarity of the relationship. It is necessary for my energy, listen to this, men, like this is to the brothers. It is necessary for the polarity of the relationship that my energy be different from my wife's. I can't match her energy. Why would she be attracted to the same energy? And it's not about positive or negative, right? It's about masculine, feminine. She was being a woman, a feminine woman last night when she was going through the range of emotion. My job is not to react to that, right? But to be very clear about the intent for the evening. This is what's going to happen. Do you think after dinner that there was a certain level of polarity between the two of us? Let me just ask. Do you think there was a good, solid polarity between the two of us? Right? There was a level of attraction. And here's the thing. It is counterintuitive to the male psyche to conduct himself this way. And it is counterintuitive to how men are being taught right now. Because someone else would say, well, she said she didn't want to go. But did that come from a deep intention? Or was it part of her feminine flow? Let me give you another example. I tell this to brothers all the time. Like, don't match your woman word for word. You can't say what she say. Why? The vibration of her words, if it's coming from a feminine place, is in flow. It don't stick the same. And if you let it stick, it's likely because you were in the feminine with her. Right? But the vibration of masculine, what is masculine? Pillar, predictable. Right? Think about the word pillar. If I say something wild and crazy, that's going to stick with her. That's going to sit in her spirit. I can't remember some of the things she say. Right? Because it came from feminine. Now, neither one of these energies are right or wrong. Let's be clear about that. They're both necessary. My wife's ability to move through those range of emotions is important for her ability to nourish our children. I don't have the capacity to move like that. There are times where my son might be emotional and she intervenes. I love you, baby. She on Facebook like, no, you didn't. I love you. Right? But this is like, we got to, like this, I think it's a really good example for us to understand. It's a teaching opportunity. Right? And this is real life. Like anybody who's married knows, like marriage goes through, you know, it goes through even within a matter of an hour, it can go through different fluctuations. Anybody who's married gets this, okay? And so, God knows I didn't mean to spend an hour on the law of gender. But I think, we must have needed it, okay? This is so important. Brothers, you have to be clear on the intent for your relationship. You are the leader. You are the priest of your home. You have to be clear on the intent for your relationship and what it is that you intend to create, despite the words, the energy, and the emotions of your woman. Okay? And let me say this, right? I was talking to a young man about his relationship earlier this week, and I told him, I said, brother, you have got to get to a point where you have certainty in your commitment to your woman. Like you got to get to a point, like, because she's going to follow your energy, right? One thing I can say, I believe Pam knows is I love her. I ain't going nowhere. I'm here to protect, provide, and be there for her till the end, right? I'm like, ain't nobody about to steal me from Pam. Ain't none of that. All right, it ain't happening, right? It is what it is, which also allows me to do what I did last night. Let's be clear. We're going out, right? So for my brothers, you can't be double-minded. You can't be telling her, if you do this, then I'm gonna leave. Like, that ain't your role, bro. What she said, you ain't a woman. Ask operator your masculine. My wife tell me she gonna leave, you ain't going nowhere. You ain't going nowhere. I'll leave you, you ain't going nowhere. Be quiet. Why would I let that feminine flow? And by the way, nothing bad about it, nothing wrong with it. Right? It's just like, yeah, okay. Something in your feminine told you to say, I don't care about that. Get out of here. You ain't going nowhere. Okay. Some men be like, oh, you say what? I'm like, man, why don't react to that? And I'm not saying what your woman says doesn't matter. You got to be wise enough to know what to grab onto and what to let go. That's the role of a man. Here's a question. Clarence said, why wouldn't a woman want to celebrate an anniversary when women complain that men don't remember important things? Bro, this ain't about her wanting to celebrate. Let me be clear. She wants to celebrate. This is a good question, man. She wants to celebrate. Feminine flow, men, we got to get this. Feminine flow will take your woman through a number of different emotions and things. This is what I said. This is why once I create the intent to celebrate, I can't leave it. Because your woman might. And it don't make her weak. It don't make her wrong. It makes her a woman. We got to get this. We in our community, we got to get this because we take it all personal. And I think part of the reason is because we don't have the proper male leadership. Men who say, oh, my woman did this. Oh, that's woman. Okay, well, tell me something else. Oh, I can't believe she said this to me. Oh, well, okay. Sounds like you with a woman. Hey, man, she hurt my feelings. Well, stop it. Love her despite it. Why wouldn't she want to celebrate? She want to celebrate, bro. She want to celebrate. It's my job as the man to ensure the celebration happens. Number 8, the law of attraction. The law of attraction, which is a secondary law and a secondary principle. All right. Now, let me explain how powerful these 12 universal laws are by using the law of attraction in contrast. Okay. Many people, the only law they know is the law of attraction. That's the only law they know. And they have recreated their lives with one law. Now, if this law hasn't worked for you, it's probably because you didn't know the rest of them. So your vibration was off, like you're trying to attract things, but your vibration's off. You know, you didn't understand the law of cause and effect, so you didn't know you had to be fully responsible for your life. You thought it was just going to show up. And this is, by the way, the ways that I see this law misinterpreted, where people will be like, I'm going to sit and affirm. They cross their legs and affirm all the good things, all the money coming to me. And they sit in their house all day and meditate. And I'm like, why didn't the money come? It's like, well, because you got to cause it to come with action. You can't just sit and meditate, right? It's like that don't work. You know, you might attract good vibrations if you feel good, right? But money ain't showing up. You got to get in action. Right. But we see people do this. Well, I've seen people close to me who like they're going to implement the law of attraction by doing nothing. Nope. Doesn't work that way. Why doesn't it work that way? Because it's a secondary law. You got to learn the 7 hermetic principles that tell you exactly what needs to happen. OK, so this law of attraction got famous when Rhonda Burns wrote The Secret. Right. She wrote The Secret. The movie came out. People were like, the law of attraction, the law of attraction, the law of attraction. But all she did was bring exposure to a secondary law. Now, nothing wrong with it, right? I just want to be clear that this is a secondary law. Now, and this is the reason this is so important to understand, because this law is based primarily in the law of vibration, and it says that like attracts like. I can teach a whole lesson on that. Let me say it again. Like attracts like. If you're unfocused and chaotic, you're going to attract lack of focus and chaos. If your vibration is negative, you're going to attract negativity. Like this is why this law works for people, because then they say, well, if I come from a place of happiness and I create everything with happiness, then happiness will come to me. And you're right. Like attracts like. Okay? So like attracts like. This is why we attract men, we attract our mothers, and women, you attract your fathers. Like attracts like. Law of attraction. All right, this is why if you don't do your work and get therapy and all that, you'll just recreate your parents' relationship. Ooh, that's a scary thought, right? And so what the law of attraction states is the thoughts, emotions, and energy that we emit into the world attract similar experiences and circumstances into our lives. I want you to take a moment and just look at your hand. Look at your hand. Your hand is in constant vibration. Like, I really want you to wrap your mind around this, right? Your hand is in constant vibration. You say, well, Linnell, if it was moving, if it was vibrating, I'd be able to put my finger through it, right? I'd be able to, put my finger through it. I can't put my finger through it. And the reason you can't put your finger through it, because there's a law of polarity that states the vibration of this hand against this finger was going to stop it, right? These laws are the foundation of creation. Now, why is this important? Because the vibration of my hand is coming ultimately right from the vibration of my mind. I hope we get this today. It's coming from the vibration of my mind. Now, the vibration of my mind is set by either one, I started the show with this, what I don't know that's impacting me, or what I do know. I'm choosing in every instance of my life. I'm choosing in every instance of my life, the positive or the negative. If I'm affirming my life every day, right? For those of you who slay your goals, this is the reason why I say read your goals daily, affirm your goals daily. Because what you're doing is you're actively setting your vibration in the morning. And think about this. I'm actively setting my vibration in the morning. And if I'm reading my goals, affirming my goals, I am happy and grateful that I've had a financial breakthrough. Then it's setting the vibration of my hands. What's going to show up? Like attracts like. What's going to show up? Like this ain't like, let me tell you the reason this is difficult. Because we're so distracted. Because we're so distracted. This is why they have us distracted. Because you take these simple principles and you begin to enact them, your life can't help but to change. But it's important that you understand the law of vibration before we can go into the law of attraction, which is why I taught it this way. Okay. Now, if you're like, well, when did you teach law of vibration? I did it 2 weeks ago. You got to go check out the show. But the law of attraction. Now, here's what else the law of attraction says. My mental energy dictates what happens to me. My mental energy dictates what happens to me. If you are poor, it's because you think poor thoughts. I did a whole show a couple of years ago on poverty. And I shared a book called Bridges Out of Poverty. But that book broke down the poverty mindset. Right? There's a poverty mindset, a middle class mindset, and a wealth mindset. There is poverty comedy. I want to be, man, y'all don't hear me. There is poverty comedy, middle class comedy, and wealthy comedy. This is why when you hear someone who is a comedian for the wealthy, a poor person will say, he ain't funny. And a rich man will be like, like he cracking up. Why? Because it's wealthy comedy. Oh, that's funny. That hit home for him. What's poor comedy? Poor comedy talk about people, talk about sex. That's, when somebody's like, talking about their anatomy, that's poor comedy. I'm gonna just keep it real today. Walked in the room one day. My wife was watching Monique's comedy special, and it was, she was. By the way, let me set the tone. Right, she was looking at the screen like, "What in the world?" She had just turned it on. She was like, and I looked at her face. I looked at the screen, and Monique is, derogatory word this and anatomy that. We just looking like, I'm like, hey, I'm turning this off. Right? It wasn't funny. Now. It just wasn't funny. Now, last I remember, Monique is one of the lowest paid comedians. Whoo, did that just hit home for you? Did that just hit home for you? She one of the lowest paid comedians, and she was complaining about being the lowest paid comedian. She still has a poverty mindset. She's doing poverty comedy. It ain't funny. And if you found Monique's comedy special funny, then hopefully you right now, you're doing an inspection like, oh, I thought that was funny. You have a poverty mindset. So then if I have a poverty mindset, guess what I attract? Financial lack. I attract it into my life. This is why many times on the show I say, well, you're married to the struggle. You're married to the struggle. I'll give you another example. If I constantly worry about financial lack, then what I'm going to bring is financial difficulty. I'm bringing that energy to my home. Another pipe bust. I'm bringing that energy to my car. When I drive it, the vibration of the vehicle, can't believe my tire blew out. I'm bringing that energy everywhere I go, and I'm attracting it to me. How do you shift it, coach? If I actively shift my focus to abundance and gratitude, this is why you have people who have gratitude journals, gratitude practices, all that. You might go, I ain't doing all that. Well, you're going to stay where you are. If I actively shift my focus to abundance and gratitude, you may start attracting more opportunities financially. Let me give you an example of what I mean. I got some advice from a mentor who was like, you should stay in the best hotels and fly first class. And at the time, I couldn't afford it, right? I was like, what? Said, well, that's where you want to be. That's where you want to go. I was like, oh, man. So I'm looking at how much the first class ticket cost. Oh, Jesus. Whew. Right? Then the hotel. How much the hotel costs. The number one hotel. I remember I made a decision. I went to Hong Kong. And I made a decision. I'm going to stay in the number one hotel in Hong Kong. I'm going to stay in the number one hotel. I'm going to attract a wealthy client. And so this is what I do. I even moved like I was wealthy. And back then, I wasn't, I didn't have what I have now, right? It was like, so I was like 1, 2, 3, okay, a night. That means it's going to be, my travel budget is, right? I was, it was like, but I'm going to travel like I'm wealthy to attract a wealthy client, right? And so when I got to Hong Kong, I had a black car waiting for me. I got down to the area where they are. The gentleman took my bags. I sat in the back of the vehicle, and I showed up to the #1 hotel in Hong Kong. Now, again, like, I'm not saying that if you can't afford this, like, take your time. Like, while it took something out my account, it didn't set me back financially. I, wasn't irresponsible. It was more than I wanted to do, let's be clear, right? But I'm like, okay, I'm going to take my mentor's advice and to kind of take myself to another level. So I get into the hotel, the bellboy comes out, grab the bags. I'm moving like I got money. Walk into the hotel, check in. I'm the only brother. I'm in Hong Kong. I'm the only brother. I didn't realize how much commotion I caused walking in there like that, right? Get in my room, go upstairs, come back down, go to the bar, get some food, have a drink. There's a man in there watching me the whole time. Okay. A few days later, I come back from, something I'm doing. And I'm sitting, and he walks up to me. He was like, "Who are you?" Long story short, he became a client. He was a European business owner, owned a large business in Switzerland. And when I told him I was a coach, he was like, "I want you to coach me." I made all that money back. And some. The law of attraction. The law of attraction. Underneath the primary principle of the law of vibration. My vibration attracted him. You all get this? He wanted someone like him to coach him. You all understand this? Okay. The law of attraction entails the law of vibration and the law of cause and effect. I had to take action. I had to be in Hong Kong to get this wealthy client. Like, let's be clear. I had to make movement. And the best way to use this law is by fully controlling your vibration and action when you are on the unfavorable side. Listen to this. I'm going to close the show with this. When you are on the unfavorable side of the law of rhythm. Now, let me explain. The law of rhythm, if we go back to the law of rhythm, right? The law of rhythm is one of the, again, remember, mutable hermetic principles. Ooh, man, I hope we getting this. I hope we getting this. The law of rhythm is one of the mutable, right? What is mutable? I can influence it, right? Hermetic principles. The law of rhythm states everything operates in cycles and rhythms. Life has its ups and downs, and change is a constant part of our existence. So what does this mean? This means that I could be in a low rhythm, right? This means that I could be in a negative vibration at some point, right? I'm a human being, all of us. Okay? Now, if we go back and we really begin to understand how this works, the best way for me to use the law of attraction is when the rhythm of life shifts things, maybe my business, the money's not coming into my business the way it used to. Listen to me, you all, okay? It's not coming in, right? Because remember, our business is going to go through seasons, right? The law of rhythm states that. My health is not the best. My physical body is going through the law of rhythm. Then what I do is I have control, right? I have understanding of the law of vibration, right? I understand the law of cause and effect, which means I can begin to take action to shift my physical vibration, thereby shifting my health, right? I can begin to take action to shift my business, thereby shifting the financial impacts of the business. And when I shift my vibration back to one of abundance, do you think I'm going to stay in that low rhythm long? You think that I'm not going to get business long? Hey, my inspired peoples, Linnell Harris here, certified ontological coach and trainer. I'm so excited that you're watching the channel. By the way, did you know you can catch the show live at 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. every Sunday morning? You can. All you have to do is go to my Facebook stream, Coach Linnell Harris, catch the stream live, or you can listen to the radio show via iHeart at WVON 1690 AM. But since you're here, if you love the content, I ask that you share it, like this particular video, and subscribe to the channel. I hope you're having a great day.